You are now listening to Wave a Sound.
Welcome to episode 58 of Versus Mike History. I'm your host, Michael History. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you choose to listen. And if we are on your preferred platform, let us know. We'll do our best to change that. For premier access to Versus Mike History content, join our members-only subscription tier on versusmikehistory.com.
Police brutality remains as a major issue in the black community, and I'm sure in cities across the country. And probably will remain, because if you just examine what the police department is, it is the military arm of the establishment. So what do you expect of it? You expect it to protect the interests of the establishment.
When you talk about law and order, the very law and order that you talk about oppresses us. So therefore we are for the extermination of that law and order. And you have shown us clearly that we can only do it by being armed.
And we are back for another episode of Versus Mike History. You know who it is behind the mic. And welcome. This is the beginning of, if you're listening to this is the beginning of a brand new week. We are going to stay on a positive tip, or start on a positive tip rather, and just get into all the things we need to get into. We got some goofy topics. We got some serious topics to get into as well. And, yeah, as things open back up, remember, stay safe. If you choose to get the vaccine or not, you still need to wear a mask. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into the episode. Alrighty, so as always, you know we got to lead with love. And I just want to get started by giving a shout out to all my black male listeners out there. Shout out to you guys. You guys hold it down consistently every week. And I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys in terms of what you guys want to hear, more so from the podcast, and how we can grow our community of male listeners, because it's about solidarity and being able to create a community filled with communication and order, and somewhere, you know, where we can have conversations where we don't make ourselves look crazy all over this social media and the internet and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into our Black Spotlight though. Okay, so for this week's Black Spotlight, I wanted to highlight someone by the name of Bernard Jackson. Bernard Jackson is a fine artist, and he recently opened his art gallery in South Orange, New Jersey, and I had the pleasure of visiting the opening of it, and he has beautiful pieces all over the walls. Music was provided by Showcase and Flygerian. Shout out to them. And it was an overall amazing experience. Bernard is someone who's been a fine artist for decades. He's worked on movie sets as well, such as Malcolm X and other films. And it was a great experience to see his work and have a conversation with him. So shout out to him, and let's go ahead and get into our topics for the day. Okay. I want to go ahead and get started by speaking on something that, I really try to avoid when it comes to producing this podcast, because, I typically tend to try to focus on more positive aspects of what's happening in the culture to report to you guys, just because the reality of our existence is so bleak. But the state of our society right now is a little out of control. It's nuts. It's a weird time that we're living in. And by that, I mean these reoccurring back-to-back mass shootings. Like, it's seriously an issue. And, the time that we've spent inside has made us realize a lot of the issues that go on in our society are man-made because of our retreat inside and how different our society looked because of the pandemic. And one of the major things that changed during that time was, schools closing and, businesses, small businesses closing, and people just not having access to certain areas like the mall and, like I said. And as the vaccine from Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson becomes more available to everyday citizens, whether they have insurance or not, this is being considered by small businesses and schools and things like that have led to the reopening of these places. And with the reopening of these places have been the reoccurrence of mass shootings all over again. And it's a clear indication that our society has normalized, and I hate using that word, but it's the perfect word for this situation. Our society has normalized mass shootings, and we have made a reoccurrence of some pretty heinous events, and it's all for the sake of, the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment. And by no means do I feel as though citizens don't have the right to carry firearms in any type of capacity. Me personally, I just don't carry that belief. But the access that people have to firearms, the type of firearms that are available for regular citizens to purchase, the amount of leniency that's available for people to be able to carry guns on a regular basis are all things that have gone unchecked for far too long in this country. We've just seen in the news that Texas is passing new legislation for people to carry handguns without a license. And to me, it just seems that we're living in this time, in this weird, crazy time where people are trying to protect their liberties, the liberties that they've had in the past, by doubling down and making them more available or more accessible or anything like that. But this is leading directly into the tragedies that have been plaguing our community. And it's really bothersome that our president, our senators, our congressmen and women, and other state officials are refusing to do anything major about these issues because in my eyes, it's just as bad as the pandemic. It's literally exactly as bad as the pandemic. People waking up every day and deciding that they're going to open fire in large gatherings. It doesn't make any sense. If you have the ability to pick up a firearm, go into a large gathering, open fire and kill, 5, 10, 20 people, you just shouldn't be able to do that in this time that we live in. It just doesn't make any sense. Everyone is against it, yet somehow we've still allowed for these things to occur in our society. And I just felt like I needed to use my platform to make people aware of the things that our politicians are putting to the wayside and simply just are refusing to address and correct, because our society is, falling apart because of it. But, when the Black Panthers brought AK-47s to the steps of the California Congress, they banned guns in California. So maybe black folks just need to go out and buy guns en masse, and maybe we'll get some gun control, because, anything will help at this point. But let's go ahead and keep it moving. Now, on to more of a light subject. It was in the news recently, and by the news I mean Instagram, that Usher was in a strip club in Las Vegas, and one of the dancers there took to social media to proclaim an issue that she had with Usher, because when she picked up the money that he was throwing, it had his face on it and not one of our colonizing, slave-owning founding fathers of this country. And, I found it hilarious that Usher would do some foolish stuff like go out to a strip club and throw money with his face on it. But this turned out to be promotion for Usher's latest endeavor / venture, which is that he'll be holding a residency in Las Vegas and he'll be performing out there. And this was funny to me because after the news broke that Usher was throwing fake money with his face on it, social media was all over his ass about him being ridiculous and this and that. And as more of the story broke and people started to find out the truth, and that the dancer who took to social media to talk about Usher actually knew that it was in promotion of his residency and said that he threw real money and allowed people to just go and say ridiculous things about Usher on the internet. I find that so funny that people will say something on social media for attention, and then when you go back to them and you point out that it wasn't true, they'll say, oh, well, I didn't say that. You guys just took it and ran with it. Like, come on, dog. But regardless, so Usher will be performing in Vegas. I don't know how long. I don't know the details of that information at all. But it made for a pretty hilarious couple of days on social media. And honestly, I want some Usher bucks. Them shits look cool. Like, and they got a black face on them. And 21 was holding up a nice little spread of Usher bucks. It was actually a pretty funny couple of days. But yeah, let's go ahead and keep it moving. I want to touch on the Triller event, the Fight Night event that happened over this past weekend. I know that's not necessarily like black culture-ish, but I know that Snoop Dogg has a stake in the Fight Night event series, and I know that Versus is now under the Triller umbrella, so I feel like it's fair game. And Jake Paul versus Ben Askren was the headlining fight of that event, and I personally didn't watch the event, but I did see Jake Paul knock out Ben Askren on social media this morning, and I honestly think that the fight was fixed, because this is like it. I didn't come up with this topic to like throw dirt on any like brand or any person or anything like that, but I'm just rewatching the clip from, that was released from the fight, and I've seen Ben Askren fight in MMA, and if you want me to believe that he was knocked, and I know he's 40 and has kids and whatever the fuck, and he's not in shape and all these other excuses that people took to social media to exclaim after he was knocked out. But I just refuse to believe that, somebody of his caliber would get into a ring with somebody who isn't necessarily an inexperienced boxer at this point, but is not a professional. He's just not a professional athlete. Like, that's not what he does for a living. However, a knockout is a knockout. So, and it made for entertaining. It made for an entertaining clip. It made for an entertaining event. And I do think that the Fight Night series is pretty cool because it doesn't seem like it's too violent. Like, they keep the parameters of the fights, very moderate. And in addition to that, there is a lot of entertaining content that surrounds the fights. You know, like it's not a typical bout where you go, you got to see all of these other bullshit vibes and fights and things like that. Like you get cool content surrounding the fight. So shout out to Snoop. Shout out to everybody involved with the Fight Night event. And let's keep it going. All right. Last but not least, I wanted to get into a topic that I thought was pretty cool. In the fact that Jaleel White is launching his own cannabis company. And I'm getting this from CNN Business, so bear with me. Actor Jaleel White is joining the growing list of celebrities who have launched a cannabis brand. While known for playing Steve Urkel in the 1990s sitcom Family Matters, he is partnering with 710 Labs on his new line, It's Purple. It's set to launch in California on April 20th or 420 and includes variants of the strain Purple Urkel. White has said the project comes after 20 years of hearing about his fictional TV character displayed on cannabis products. He wrote on the new brand's website that he met his eventual business partner on a flight to Oakland in 2018. Anyone who knows me personally as Jaleel White knows that I'm an ardent seeker of curated adventures, big laughs, and excellent food. White wrote, all three of these interests are enormously enhanced by top shelf cannabis, which is absolutely accurate. And good for Jaleel White. You know, he's one of those people who got famous really young and took on a role that everyone knew him for. And for years and years of his life, he had to, run from it because it defined him on so many levels that he had to get up under it and, redefine himself, not only as an actor, but as a person, because, you got to shake off the persona that everybody sees you in on a regular basis. And I'm glad to see that he can finally use that to his advantage while launching a product that he feels will enhance not only his life, but also other people's lives. Because at the end of the day, we just want to create things that make everyone feel better, right? So yeah, shout out to Jaleel, shout out to It's Purple, shout out to the Purple Urkel cannabis strain, and hopefully I get to try that really, really soon. Now, how about we go ahead and get into new releases? So we got some new singles and some new projects out. Big Crit drops off Pick Up the Pace. That's a single. T Grizzly and G Herbo, they have Never Been Never Fold. K Camp and PNB Rock have Life Has Changed. NBA Youngboy has I Ain't Scared. Moneybagg Yo and Big 30 have Go. And that's pretty much it for single releases as I can see. Now, in terms of projects, Busta Rhymes, and I'm looking at title, that's the only reason I'm mentioning this first. Busta Rhymes re-released his first album, The Coming, because of its 25th anniversary. So shout out to Bus and his first album. Conway the Machine drops off La Maquina. That is a very dope project. Some of the best rapping I've heard from Conway in a while is on this project. Some standouts that I heard were Clarity and KD, and a couple other tracks on there I like too. I just don't remember the names of them. Queen Naija releases Misunderstood Still. Sweetie drops off the Pretty Summer playlist featuring other artists as well as herself. That's sort of like a compilation project. And Young Thug and YSL release their project by the name of Slime Language 2. And this project is very dope. There's a bunch of people on this project, but it's titled under YSL, Young Thug, and Gunna. We get a lot of standout tracks from this. Slatty is dope. Ski is dope. Diamonds Dancing is great. Solid is great. Those are like the top 4 tracks. But the rest of the project is pretty dope. It's a nice little vibe, as this the weather breaks and it gets nicer out. This is definitely like the perfect springtime leading into the summertime music. So shout out to Thug and everybody at YSL. Shout out to Gunna. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and move on to what's going on in the TV and film world. I guess that I will go ahead and get started by talking about Snowfall. Snowfall's most recent episode aired this previous Wednesday that just passed, and man, Franklin and the gang did a motherfucking sweep. This is gonna come with spoilers, of course, so if you haven't watched the episode, I don't know why you're listening to this. But last episode we saw that Louis got shot by Khadijah and her girls, and that Franklin was being set up by his old homegirl. I forget her name. I'm losing it right now. But this episode, we see Franklin deal with all of these things at once. And it was back to classic Snowfall, man. Reed and Franklin went undefeated in this episode. And the all-star of this episode, I have to point out, is Jerome. Because, like the meme said on Twitter, if Get It Back in Blood was a person, Jerome done killed Manboy this episode, Khadijah this episode, and Manboy whole crew. And, things are starting to correct themselves from what we saw back in the beginning of the season. Even though this has been a very, very entertaining season of Snowfall, I have had issues with how this story has ran linearly, just because we started with such a strong storyline for Oso and Reed, and it kind of just dies out by the middle of the season. A lot of the stuff that transitions from the third season to the fourth season is a little shaky, but I attribute that to the passing of John Singleton and COVID and stuff like that. So I won't hold too many grudges, because this ultimately has been an amazing season. Damson Idris is a phenomenal actor, and he is actively improving his role, and you can see it in the mannerisms and his speeches and everything that he puts into this character. And I'm so glad that everybody is doing their part and holding down their own when it comes to the cast on this series. And it's really exciting to see how this season is going to end, with his dad getting in the crosshairs of Reed, his mom becoming more wary of his actions as we see Irene get killed by Reed in this episode, even though, and when it comes on the news, Sissy blames Franklin for it. But ultimately, great episode. Excited to see how it ends. Excited to see what it sets up for season 5 of Snowfall, because we do know that we're getting that. That was confirmed. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into Falcon. No Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We are going to get into some Invincible. So Invincible, which airs on Amazon Prime, released their 6th episode, and I believe that's what I meant to speak on last. I meant to speak on episode 5 last episode, but I said 4. But yeah, I watched episode 6 of Invincible, and that show does what it needs to do every single week. New intriguing characters are introduced, different storylines are proposed, and we get awesome character development in our main character, and our supporting characters, and in everything that's going on in the show. It's a very comprehensive series, and I think that Amazon should be proud of the product that they've released to us. So yeah, Invincible on Amazon Prime is pretty dope. I'm excited to see how this season wraps up. I haven't read the comics, so I'm not too familiar with this series and its characters and everything, but I'm going to go back once this season is over, and I'm going to do some due diligence on my part and catch up on the mythos of this universe, because it's pretty awesome. And, I have some questions. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep, that's it. So, as always, guys, send topics, questions, music, and movie suggestions. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike History, and you can follow me on Instagram at Last Name History. Follow the podcast on Twitter at VS Mike History and on Instagram at Versus Mike History. Sign up for our members only subscription tier on versusmikehistory.com/members only. That helps support the podcast. That gives you access to an exclusive archive of interviews that I'll be developing. And, if you want to help out in any other type of way, you can donate to my website as well, versusmikehistory.com/donate. We got Versus Mike History podcast merch that's about to release very, very soon. So look out for that on my website. And, I look for my website to be the community of the podcast, not any of these other platforms. So yeah, however you feel about the show, let me know via the website. Mainly, I still, like social media and stuff like that, but I would prefer our community to live on my website. And, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys next week. And our sound selection for this week is going to be Stuck in the Grind by Nipsey Hussle and Bino. And we are going to get into it now.
Datpiff.com world premiere.
I can feel a vibe, hustle on the ride. Slow light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. All she want is time, all she want is time. Look me in my eyes, call me on my lies. Lock the city down till the summertime. Time to slice these niggas up some humble pie. Caravan of foreigns, let my youngin' drive. Elevate my game for the 100th time. You can hold me down through these troubled times, or be another victim to my stubborn pride. Hold me down through these troubled times, be another victim to my stubborn pride. Stuck in the grind, stuck in the grind, I'm stuck in the grind. Look me in my eyes, call me on my lies. I'm stuck in this grind, I'm stuck in this grind. Middle of the night, kitchen lights is on. Roll me up a back, then I light the stove. Taught her stay calm when the crisis on. She say I die alone, I set my life upon. High Park Hustle, speaking hyperbole. Translation, get the money, never wife a hoe. Clip is full already, now it's time to go. Shoulder full already, where these shirts should go. Crash got opinions, how my life should go. I'm screaming, fuck them, they can suck a dick and die tonight, Bullets, rain on them, cut the life support. My section ride for sport, every night of course. Niggas dying every day, that's the price of war. Gang members spending thousands at the nicest stores. Levitate on 5-star luxury. Every time I ride, shit come for me. Stuck in the grind, stuck in the grind, I'm stuck in the grind. Look me in my eyes, call me on my lies. I'm stuck in this grind, I'm stuck in this grind. Let's make a movie, take the top off. About to cross over like hot sauce. On this gutter shit, I never hopped off. Most calculated move by far. Always with a model in a fly car. 30,000 for the python. Rockin' knee highs, drinking white wine. Listening to in my lifetime. In the nighttime, looking at the city skyline. Getting sky high. Took the little bitch to Popeye. She was top 5. Excitement that she get from pop life could never top mine. Once you get the hustle locked down, you can stockpile. Level up another notch now, like a stock now. Every time I take the top down, she arch her eyebrows. Turning up the music hot now, she feel alive now. Love me like we from a small town, let's make them all round. You splurge, I splurge, we ball later and we ball now. Stuck in the grind, stuck in the grind, I'm stuck in the grind. Look me in my eyes, call me on my lies. I'm stuck in this grind, I'm stuck in this grind. Ain't no going back once them lights on you. Left the dorm in the middle of the night, homie. Affidavits going viral, that's your life, homie. Ain't no point of even tryna lie, homie. Let's go out to all the SNY, homies. If you step before the sign, you should die, homie. Fuck you niggas, you disrespected the tribe, homie. Wounded pride, it's written all in your eyes, homie. Stuck in the grind, stuck in the grind, I'm stuck in the grind. Look me in my eyes, call me on my lies. I'm stuck in this grind, I'm stuck in this grind, yeah. December 1st, 2017. We begin. All money in. Y'all die. Yeah. Whoa. The marathon continues, nigga. Whoa, whoa. See niggas all-star weekend. We'll see about it.